Hi, this is Jill from Humu Yoga, and this is the full yoga practice. Today we're working with the theme of slow and steady. To me, this means trust the process. And we're going to be working and getting deep into the hips. And the hips are really important because we need both the strength and the flexibility in the hips. So we'll work slow and steady so we can get an understanding and maybe get deep into some of these poses. And we'll start off with centering, where I will recite the quotes, the inspirational quotes on slow and steady, and then we'll go ahead and get started with this practice. So if this is something you really like, please subscribe. So we'll go ahead and get started. So with the hands down by the sides, just close the eyes and just for a moment focus on the muscles that you're sitting on, your pelvic floor, and just engage, just enough so you feel support. We call that Mula Bandha. It means root lock. And then above that, right below the belly button, pull the belly in and get a sense of lifting upward. We call that Uddiyana Bandha, and it means flying upward. And then at the top of the spine, draw the chin down, and we call that Jalandhara Bandha, and we seal in the energy of the bandhas. And now, with the bandhas engaged, and so you're supported from the inside, you can release the hands and just start to focus on your breath. And as you inhale, you can visualize how the rib cage expands. And then as you exhale, you can visualize how the rib cage relaxes. Inhaling, you feel the rib cage expand. Exhale, you feel it relax. And one more big breath in, focusing on the breath. And exhale. And now let the hands come together by your heart, and we'll vibrate an Om, and then I'll recite the quotes. Inhale. Slow down, calm down, don't worry, don't hurry, trust the process. You shouldn't rush something you want to last forever. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Slow but steady wins the race. So let's go ahead and start this deep hip practice, moving from a slow and steady place. We'll come and start on all fours. So once you get to all fours, let's do some cat-cows, but let's focus on the hips. So pull the belly in and round. So start to round your low spine, and then let the head draw down and round the upper spine. And then we'll initiate from the hips. Start to let the low back start to arch. You tilt the hips the other way, back, and then let your sternum come forward. And then do it again. Pull the tail under, pull the ribs in, and lift way up. And now initiate from the tail. Let go out. Start to arch your back, and then take it to the upper back. And then one more time, let's exhale and pause here with the tail under. We're going to take this into downward facing dog. So pulling your belly in, start to reach back. And just notice what's going on in your body today. My calves feel a little tight. I took a long walk yesterday. So notice what's going on in your body. You could bend the knees, but you're trying to get the chest closer to the legs and reach through the arms. It's okay if your heels don't go down. That's okay. Just work where you can and breathe. Inhale and exhale. And now slowly make your way up. So just notice. If you go too fast, you miss things. So just notice when you slowly walk up, what's going on in your body today? And come all the way up to the front. You could have your feet hip width and just relax your head. And then inhale, lengthen. Get a nice flat back here. Lengthen through your tailbone as you reach all the way up. And exhale, let the hands come down by the sides. And we'll come to Samasthiti, standing still and straight and ready to begin the sun salutations. Before I start, I always practice with 2 yoga blocks and a little towel. You could use a yoga belt or a strap. Sometimes I'll use this yoga wedge as well, and they're all listed in the description. But none of them are necessary, just optional. So let's go ahead and start Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, reach the arms up. And then exhale, fold. Feel that you fold from your hip sockets, come forward. And then inhale, look up and lengthen. And go ahead, and we're gonna take this back to a plank. So hold the plank and notice, is your butt sticking out? Can you draw the tail under and really get wide across the shoulder blades? I'm going to come down to the knees so I can maintain that shape as we lower down and then push back up. Now we'll come forward to upward facing dog. Take the tail under, so the hip bones are coming forward and up, and so is the sternum, and gaze down the nose. And then exhale, we'll take it back to downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale, slowly warming up the body. Inhale and exhale. And each sun salutation you'll get a little bit more warmed up. It'll start to feel better and better. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale here, start to make your way up to the front. You can push down to lift up and really feel that. And then fold. Inhale, lengthen. Reaching. Exhale, the hands come down. Let's do that again. Inhale, reach, big reach. Exhale, hinge forward. And then inhale here, lengthen. And let's take it back again. Pause in your plank. Maintain that strong plank as you lower. Feel the muscles in the arms, in the chest, in the back. Push up. And now take the tail under and lift the sternum, gazing down the nose. And then exhale, taking it back, downward facing dog. And breathe here. Inhale and exhale. Don't worry if your heels are lifted. Inhale, that's okay. Exhale, just try and get the best stretch you can in your body right now. Inhale without forcing. And exhale. One more breath. And then gazing forward, slowly start to make your way up, pressing down to lift up and fold. Inhale, lengthen and rise, reach. And exhale, hands down. We'll move into Surya Namaskar B, bend the knees. I'm going to use the blocks for this one because it helps me to get some height and keep my practice nice and light. And reach and inhale. Fold. Inhale, lengthen, and then go ahead. You can either jump back or walk back, step back, but find your plank. And then we're going to lower, tail under, rise, come through, upward facing dog, lift the sternum, tail under, and downward facing dog. And then from here, notice what's going on in your hips if you lift the right leg. You don't have to lift real high. Just try to keep the hips squared and try to press the left heel down and try not to let your shoulders go forward. And then pull the knee up, step your right foot forward. We're going to rise up into a high lunge, gazing down the nose and straight ahead. Reach the arms. Now from here, bend the back knee and feel your tail under on that left side. Nice and strong there. Now, keeping the same bend in the front leg, don't come up, try to stay low, try to straighten your back leg. And we'll do that again, bend, really activate the muscles under the butt to get a nice stretch on the top of the hip. And one more time. And then from here, feeling that stretch, and then you're feeling the glutes on the right side work, lift up to go back, So now the hips are keeping us balanced, and we go deep into the back bend. Lift up to go back. And then inhale, rise up, reach forward. And for a moment, feel the glutes on that right side, really reach. Now we're gonna take the hands down to the floor, to the inside of the front foot. So you can either stay on your block or come down to the floor and bend as deep as you can. If you need to, you could take your back knee down. It's a little easier that way, or it's a little more challenging to just try and come down low and feel the deep hip stretch. And then rise up. And from here, we're going to take it into a twist. So just leave your left hand down. It could even be on the block as you turn. Try not to turn the hips very much. Turn, open, and then we'll come back down and we'll step back. And then from here, we'll lower, the tail stays under, and rise. And come through, lift the sternum, and downward facing dog. And we'll do the other side. So lift the left leg, but notice you don't want to turn your hips. So, or at least not very much. So reach, try to get your shoulders back, right? Don't let them come forward. And now we'll step it forward. Pull the knee up, step the foot down. We'll rise up into the high lunge, gazing down the nose and straight ahead. Bend the back knee. Feel that tail under on that right side. I want you to feel a stretch on the top of the right hip, the hip flexors. Do it one more time. Bend, and then try to straighten your back leg. Last one, bend. Try to straighten, but keep these muscles engaged so you're stretching the hip flexors on that right side, and you're using the glutes on the left side for support as you lift up to go back. Up to go back. You could even take your gaze to your hands. Lift up to go back. Opening. And then inhale, rising up, reaching. We're going to take the hands down to the inside of the front leg, or you could have your hands on the floor or on the block. You could bend the back knee, or keep it straight and breathe, breathe. And then rising up, we're going to take a twist. You could put your hand on the block if you wanted to, or on the floor. Turn. Try not to turn the hips very much. Keep pulling the left butt back. Reach, turn, and then slowly coming down. Step back, and we'll lower and rise. And come through. Big breath in. And exhale, downward facing dog. And just breathe here. Inhale and exhale. Noticing how you're feeling now. Inhale. A little bit more warm. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And then find a gaze point, a little target that you're gonna lift up to, or walk up, or you can lightly hop up and fold. Inhale, bend the knees, reach the arms, and come to stand. One more Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. We're gonna go ahead and take it back, plank. And then we'll lower, exhale. Inhale, rise, and then come through. Lift the sternum, the tail is under, and we'll take it back, downward facing dog. Let's go ahead and lift the right leg. This time, what does it feel like to open the hips? Keep your shoulders going towards your legs, right? Don't let them come forward. What does it feel like to bend the knee? And get a little twist. I feel a nice opening on the top of the right hip. And then back again. And then let's go ahead and step that foot forward. We'll take that back foot down for warrior one. Inhale, reach the arms. Keeping the tail under on that left side as I lift up to go back. Gazing to my hands. And then from here, we're going to transition the hips to warrior two. So what has to happen? You lift up. More external rotation in the right hip, and feel the back foot adjust too. The back leg is turned in a little bit, but there's still activation under the butt as you reach, finding a nice balance in warrior two, so you're not leaning forward. You're reaching, breathing. And then we're going to come back into the lunge. So you have to turn that back hip, internally rotate it, reach forward, and take the hands down. Step back and lower. And rise and come forward. Lift the sternum, tail is under, and take it back, downward facing dog. Now we'll go to the other side. So lifting the left leg. Try not to let your shoulders come forward. Open the hip. You see I'm turning out and opening. Then I bend the knee and open the hip. If I look under my right armpit, I can see my foot. And then bring it back. And now we step it forward. Take the back foot down. Rise up. Warrior one. Breathe. Inhale. So I'm activating that right butt. That hip is going under, and this hip is pulling back. Breathe. 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 Now we're going to transition to warrior two. So if you notice, my back foot turns out a little bit more. My front foot, I'm moving it, sneaking it out a little. And then I'm bending straight down. I'm not leaning forward, and I'm feeling this hip turn in, but there's still activation under the butt. And I'm feeling this hip externally rotate as I breathe. Breathe. To come out, to turn, internally rotate the right leg. I reach, take the hands down, and step back. When you move slow and steady, it's a little harder, but you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Rise up and come forward. Lift the sternum and exhale, downward facing dog. And breathe. Inhale and exhale. Takes a couple more nice long breaths. Inhale and exhale. Find your gaze point, bend the knees, pull the belly in, lift up, and put the feet down, and fold. Bend the knees, reach the arms, and exhale. Let's come to Samasthiti. Now we're going to, which means standing still and straight. We'll step out, and we're going to come into a forward fold. Notice where your hip sockets are. They're not out to the side. They're a little in front of your pelvis, like right in here. And notice, do you tend to stick your butt out or tuck your butt under? Come to a nice neutral. And as we come forward into the forward fold, you feel the crease deep in the hip sockets. So keep your low back lengthening. And then let's just rest the hands on the shins for a moment. Notice it's okay if your legs go back a little bit as you start to straighten them as much as you can. And then note, can you start to now just fold in? So grabbing the back of the legs, feel a deep hip crease, right? As you come forward, no matter, this might be it. You might even be way, up here, but just drop your head wherever you are and see where you can go. Maybe you can pull in tighter, breathe. Wherever you are, straighten your legs. It's okay to even be up on blocks, wherever you need to be getting that length. And then inhale, lengthen your spine, wherever you are, and we'll come all the way up. And exhale, let's step everything into Samasthiti. Now we're gonna do some standing postures. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my blocks, one in the front, one in the back, and we'll go ahead and step out. So from here, the standing postures really challenge your hips. So we'll start with Parsvakonasana, which is basically warrior two to begin. And then we take a side angle, circle the arm. If you want to, you could take your hand down to the floor, to a block, whatever level works for you. Breathing, inhale, exhale, turning the right ribs up, breathing, reaching. I'm feeling a nice side body stretch all the way to my fingertips. And then from here, let's come to Trikonasana. So you might need to adjust, you might need to move your block. You could be up here too. So breathe and turn, breathing. And I'm feeling nice stretch across the hips here. You might feel the hamstrings in the front leg too. Inhale, rise up. And we'll go to the other side. So turning the back foot in, the front foot out, bending into a warrior two to come into Utthita Parshvakonasana, extended side angle. I'm going to use the block. Breathe, inhale, and exhale. I'm turning my left ribs, feeling a nice stretch across the top of this right hip, and I'm really opening the front leg. So I'm feeling the hip open that way. Breathe. And then from here, Trikonasana. So I'm going to move my block. You could be here. And turn. Breathe. I feel like I'm pulling my left hip back. Feels nice. Feel it here. And then inhale, rising up. And then from here, we're going to turn and come down into a lunge. So we're going to come into Anjaneyasana. So be a little forward of your knee, or you could be on a blanket or your little towel. But if you're a little forward of your knee, the pressure isn't right on it. So from here, just get a sense of pulling this right butt back for a moment. So the hips are doing different things here. The front hip is pulling back, right? And it's creasing. The back hip we're trying to get a stretch there. So we're trying to keep the tail under. And then from here, we're going to come into Anjaneyasana. So we'll take the arms here, getting the shoulders down and wide. Then they start to come a little closer together. As you come into a back bend, you start to lunge, but don't lose the butt under on that left side. Start to lunge forward, breathe. And at some point you might be able to take your arms and reach, 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 breathe. And then inhale, rise up. And now we're going to take it into Parvrita Parshvakonasana. So it's revolved side angle. So you're going to come in and just get in as deep as you can. Find a focal point, like right in front of that big toe. And then we're going to tuck the back toes under. Now you're going to have to really use that right butt. Rise up and breathe and try to turn with each exhalation. If you wanted to, you could change your gaze. Breathe. Keep breathing. Don't let it throw your balance though. Now use the right butt. You'll feel that a lot. And rise up. And then we'll go to the other side. So taking the knee down. Just for a moment, feel that bend in the left hip and then the butt under in the right hip. So they're both doing opposite things, but they're working together for this balance. And then we'll take the arms, lift the sternum, then we'll start to lunge as you reach the arms. Keep the tail under on the right side and the butt back on the left side. Reach, 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 breathe, and then rise up. And now we're going to take it into Parvrita Parshvakonasana, revolved Parshvakonasana. So come in as deep as you can. Find a focal point in front of your foot, and then use that to steady your gaze as you pull the left butt back, rise up, and start to turn. Turn. You could gaze down if your balance was challenged, or maybe a little up. Maybe you could gaze all the way up. Breathe. And then use that left butt and rise up. And we'll stay about right here. And from here, we're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana, spread out, forward bend. So try not to have the feet turned out. Maybe they're turned slightly inward as you come forward. So we feel the hip crease again as you come forward. Come forward. Take your hands on your shins and lengthen. And see if you can kind of stick your butt out here. Lengthen forward. And now grab the back of your legs and see if you can get your head down. You could always use a block. That's fine. Just take it to where you can. But try to roll your shoulders now away from your ears as you pull down. Pull down. And breathe. Try and straighten your legs. And then inhale, lengthen. And let's rise up. And now we're going to come into like a goddess pose, but maybe not as turned out. Try not to turn out as much. Some people call this horse stance. It's a drill we'll try. So to open up the thighs. You'll feel the inner thighs and you'll feel the external rotation. So go down slowly and try to stay upright. We'll hold for a moment and come back up. We're going to do it 3 times. That's 1. On the 3rd one, we'll hold. So go down, try and open the hips, open, and try to stay straight up as best you can. And then we'll rise. On the next one, we're going to hold. So inhale. But don't think of it as holding. Think of it as slow and steady. You're going deeper. Breathe. With each breath, maybe you can go a little deeper. Breathe. And this is great because it's strengthening and stretching at the same time. Those external rotators. Breathing. Breathing. Just notice where you can go. And then inhale, rising up. And now we'll take a step up to the front. Samasthiti. Next, we're going to play with a couple of balance poses. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit. We'll come and use the wall just for support. We're going to do Garudasana or eagle pose. We'll start off with just crossing the legs, right? Just right leg, but tightly, get in real tight. And then with the arms, this is the right leg crossing. So we're going to take the left arm on top and tightly cross here. And see, do the best you can, even if you're here, it doesn't matter. And then from here, we're going to challenge our balance. You could always lean back into the wall, and maybe you can bend and come down a little deeper. Just go where it feels good in your body. Gaze to the hands. Breathe. You feel the outer hips here. And then inhale, rise up and release. We'll do the other side. So tightly cross the left leg, and then with the arms, tightly cross the right arm on the top. And then start to come down. Breathe. Gazing now to the hands. Breathe. Inhale. Feel those outer hips. Exhale. And then inhale, rise up. And then from here, we'll come into tree pose. A couple of variations though. So let your right leg come up. You could always lean back if you needed to, but try to stay way up. And we're trying to open the knee and at the same time take the tail under. So the hips are nice and open. And gaze to the hands, breathe. Stay here, or we're gonna try a half lotus. So now we bring the knee down. We're bringing the knee down and a little closer. Just hold on with your left hand and just do the best you can. Breathe. Keep your tail under. Breathe. Maybe you're feeling a nice stretch here. Maybe you're feeling it in the outer hip. Breathe. And slowly coming down. And then we'll do the other side. So tree pose. Breathe. Inhale, open the knee, take the tail under. It doesn't even matter if your tree's here, right? As long as you're moving slow and steady and the focus is on opening the hip. And you can stay here, or if you want to, we come in a little deeper. Maybe you're up here, but maybe you can get the knee to come down. Just play with that. You can use the wall if you feel like your balance is compromised. And breathe, keeping the tail under. Just notice where you're feeling it. And slowly release. And now we're gonna come into a series where we do a forward bend and a squat. So I'm gonna use the blocks. Some of you don't need though. And I'm also gonna use this wedge for my heels because I'm recovering from a hip injury and it helps me to go deep in my squat. But you could use a blanket, works well, or towel, anything folded up, or you could keep your heels a little lifted. That's fine. And so we'll start here, we'll go kind of wide, and we're gonna come into a forward bend. So exhale, bend. Let's go ahead and take the hands on the blocks. And then from here, find a gaze point in front of you as you start to come down into a squat. And just go slow. You don't have to come all the way down, but maybe you can. And then we'll come back up and forward bend. Then we'll do that again. Come down into your squat. As deep as it feels good in your body for now. And forward bend. And the next one we're gonna hold. So come down into your squat. You could keep your hands on the floor. Your heels could be lifted if you didn't have a prop there. Or maybe you feel like you can start to sink down and stay here a little bit. trying to open the hips, Achilles. There's all kinds of things going on here. Lift the sternum, breathe. Couple more breaths. And then we're gonna make our way down to the floor and come to seated. And then I'm gonna clear the path again. And I just want you to come to seated. So I have my feet about hip width, maybe a little wider, and just sit way up. Notice what that feels like. And then from there, what does it feel like to curl your spine and drop your pelvis back? Pull way in. And then lift back up again. And then from here, let's go ahead and take the feet maybe a little wider. And I'm gonna take my hands out to the side and kind of lean back on them. And then I'm just gonna let my left knee fall and then my right knee. So just loosening up the hips. And right leg up, left leg up. Going the other way and back up. We'll just do that one more time. Just feel, how are your hips today? Back and over. And now we're gonna come into a drill that will take us into pigeon prep pose. So I want you to get your right leg in a 90-degree angle and your left leg in a 90-degree angle. So it's 90, 90, and then try to sit up. So you might feel this hip, it's inner rotation, it's internal rotation, the hip's going this way, right? And the front hip is going the other way. It's okay if you have all your weight there. It's also okay if you need to prop yourself up on a block or a blanket. And from here now, we're just gonna come forward. You wanna press your right butt down, right? And at the same time, get a feeling that you're lifting the knee, almost resisting as you push your chest down towards the floor. Breathe, inhale, exhale. And every exhalation, you see if you can go a little deeper. Exhale. And then inhale, rise up. You should be getting a nice glute stretch. And then we're gonna take this into the pigeon pose. So pull your front foot in a little bit. It's gonna vary depending on your hips, how far in you wanna pull it, but you wanna keep your knee in alignment with your right knee in alignment with your right hip as you come up. For this one, I am gonna use a block, and I'm gonna put it right under my right butt. And I don't wanna use it very much, but it's there for support. And then from here, coming forward and breathe. Inhale and exhale. And see if you can surrender into it. Like you really want to be feeling the right glute, nice and deep. Breathe. Inhale and exhale. A couple more breaths. And then inhale, rise up. And from here, see if you can sit up tall. And I'm even coming off the block a bit. I'm not really using it as I lift up. Exhale. Lift up. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. I'm going to take the block out. Slowly come down. Come back into that 90-90 because we're going to transition to the other side. So just leaning back if you need to, switching the legs, and you find that 90-90 again. And then from there, sit up tall and see if you can experience that internal rotation of the right hip as you lift up, really feeling that. And then from there, we'll come into the forward bend, coming forward, breathe, just go to where it feels okay in your body, right? Breathe. I'm feeling like my chest is coming down and I'm kind of resisting by lifting the knee. It feels like I'm lifting the knee. I'm not really, but I'm just getting that counter stretch, breathing. It's like an active stretch. Of course, you could just be passive here. If that was enough for you. And then rise up. And let's come into pigeon pose now. So I'm going to move this leg in a little bit. I'm going to grab a block, a trusty block, and then I'm going to turn this hip in. And from there, it's just supporting. I'm not relying on it so much. Staying a little lifted. And then when I find that back leg, we're going to come forward and breathe. You should be feeling the left butt external rotation, and breathe into that. Breathe. One more breath. Finding some release, slow and steady. And then inhale, starting to rise up. I'm going to move the leg in a little bit more. I'm not really using this, right? I'm lifting up. Inhale, lift up to go back. Up to go back. Up to go back. Breathing. And then inhale, rising up. I'm going to take the block out. Come on down. Find my 90-90. Lift up. And no hands. Try it. Maybe you're using your hands. That's fine. Just notice, are you a little looser? Can you find that? And then we'll come to Dandasana. So sit up as tall as you can. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana. So finding that length in the low back, really hinging at your hips. If you need to, you could sit up on something if your hamstrings were tight, or you could bend your knees a little if you needed to. And then we'll come forward and we'll try to grab the feet, or maybe you're using the floor, hinging, or maybe you're using your prop, but you want to pull the body forward, right? Really get your body forward, hinging as best you can. And then when you've got as much length as you can, just drop the head and breathe, and just go to wherever feels good in your body. Breathing. At some point, just draw the chin down and feel the breath in the back. Inhaling. Shoulders down. Exhaling. Inhale, lengthen, and rise up. And now we're going to come into a back bend. I'm going to use the blocks. It feels really nice. So you're going to set one up so that when you lie back on it, it's right under your sternum. So you go back and I place the bottom edge at the bottom edge of my shoulder blade. So it's right below my sternum. And then the other one is just to support your head. We'll bend the knees and then let's reach the arms. Now get a sense of the tail, like going back a little and finding this arch in the back, this big arch right in that sternum. Lift way up, and you can feel the hip crease. That's okay. Just breathe here. Reach. Just notice the back bend. And then maybe you want to come to Baddha Konasana. This feels really nice. Open out. Feel those inner thighs open. And reach and lift and open. And notice how your hips more open now. Breathing. And then from here, let's go ahead and bring everything in. And we'll do a roll up. So curling, pull the belly in, and then I'm gonna put the blocks to the side. And from here, a nice roll down, curling, coming down. And we're gonna come into Setu Bandhasana first, and then we're gonna do Urdhva Dhanurasana for those of you who want to, but let's just do Setu Bandhasana first. I want you to feel how you lift from the butt and the hamstrings, the back body lifts you way up, rolling the shoulders open, making sure your neck is nice and lengthened, lift way up. So you should feel a nice stretch in the hip flexors and activation of your butt. Lift up, up, up. And then we'll slowly come down. You could articulate down if you wanted. One vertebra at a time, feels really nice. Now you're welcome to do that again. Or if you want to do Urdhva Dhanurasana, the full back bend, I'm going to go ahead and move to the wall and set up the props. So I'll meet you there. So we made it to the wall, and I've put my blocks against the stall bars, but you could put it just right against the wall. And if it's at an angle, it's a little nicer to your wrists, but it could be just flat too. And it's just really nice because the blocks will give you nice height. And I think it really helps. I think it's helped my Urdhva Dhanurasana quite a bit. And let's come all the way back. This is a pose I didn't always like. I still find it challenging, but it really has helped open me up so much. So let's go ahead and you set up your hands. You want to have your elbows as best you can pointing up, right? Try not to go out to the side very much. It might shift a little, but do the best you can. And we're trying to lift up from using the butt muscles, pressing the hips up, while at the same time pressing the chest up to the ceiling, activating the back muscles. So the whole back body. So take a breath in. Exhale, just lift the pelvis, feel that. Now inhale here, you're trying to lift the chest high, come to the top of the head, and then push straight up as best you can. Try not to be pushing towards your feet. Try to come back to the wall. And then maybe you can walk in and just play with that and lift up. Do the best you can, lift up. Now I'm sending my chest towards the wall. Breathing, breathing, lifting, lifting. And then slowly coming down. Articulate as best you can, curling the spine and slowly coming down. And then I'm going to slowly make my way up to seated or quickly. That pose is amazing. And you might want to do it a few times. I think 3 is a good number, but I just demoed it once. So feel free to stop the video and do it again. Or just do the Setu Bandhasana, the bridge pose. Now I'm going to come back down to the floor, curling my way down. And once I'm here, let's go ahead and release that back bend a little bit. So happy baby is a nice way to do that. You can rock, opening the hips, just letting everything go. This is the winding down part of the class, so make it slow and steady and feel good. And now we're going to do the supported inversion. I always like to show this. It's accessible to most people. If you don't have a block, you could just put your feet up on a wall. There, let your legs come up, but it reverses the blood flow. Just breathe here. If you want to, those of you who have this in your practice, you could roll over. It's contraindicated for osteoporosis, so just be careful. Make sure your neck is lengthening. Some of you might want to come up in shoulder stand, but make sure your neck is long, shoulders are down, and breathe. And whatever you're doing, make sure it feels good and right? And we'll come out. But you could take your time in this. I'm just showing you a few ideas, right? Just things you can do. And come down. Or maybe you're just here, enjoying the hamstring stretch and the strength of the front of the legs. We're trying not to arch, right? Just find a nice neutral spine. Breathing. And slowly letting the legs come down. And then we'll lift up. We'll shift the hips to the left. And then we'll let the knees come up. And slowly take everything over to the right. And open the left shoulder, gazing over the shoulder, if that feels good. Breathing. Inhale. And exhale. And then we'll let the legs come up. We'll shift the hips to the right this time. Let the knees come up. Take everything over to the left. And then turn the left ribs to the right. As you gaze maybe over your right shoulder, just notice what's going on. Breathing. And then inhale, let everything come back. Let's just give ourselves a nice hug in, curling up, and then release. Shavasana. So just let your body go and let your thoughts go and just be in this sense of bliss, in this sense of being light, and stay there. And you can stay here as long as you'd like. Pause the video, but I'm going to go ahead and take us out. So just start to be aware of your breath, moving fingers and toes. And then you can bend the knees. And we'll come into a nice fetal position on your side. And just pause there. Pause there for a moment. And then slowly making your way up. And we'll find ourselves in a nice seated position. And just take a moment to notice how this slow, steady, deep practice has affected or become a place of peace and ease. I like to think of myself as slow and steady. I'm a work in progress. And stay in that place of peace and ease and let it resonate in everything you do. Namaste.